Gentlemen from the other services and other members of ICCES, you are welcome. Commissioners, you are welcome.
I humbly request this upstanding for the recitation of the circumstance. Empower you the truth to know in love of the forthcoming by-elections and non-elections. Before we go of ICCES, Malam Nuru Badu, ably represented by Dr. the Honorable National Commissioner, Professor Kule Ajayi.
I warmly welcome you all. Being our first meeting of the year, it is appropriate to wish you a happy new year as we prepare for elections holding next weekend. You may recall that exactly 3 months ago, on 23rd October 2023, we had a similar meeting hosted by the National Security Advisor on the eve of the last 3 off-cycle governorship elections in Bayelsa, Imo, and Kogi states, held on the 11th of November 2023. Today, we shall focus our attention on yet another round of elections holding, as I said earlier, next weekend. That is on Saturday, 3rd February 2024. There are 2 categories of elections. First are the by-elections arising from the death or resignation of members of the National and State Houses of Assembly, affecting 2 senatorial districts, 4 federal constituencies, and 3 state constituencies. The second category is the rerun elections by order of the Election Petition Appeal Tribunals. In my remarks at the Commission's extraordinary meeting with leaders of political parties last month, I reported that the elections affect 35 national and state constituencies. Since then, 4 additional orders of the Court of Appeal have been served on the Commission in respect of the Yabo Shagari Federal Constituency of Sokoto State, the Madara Chinede State Constituency in Bauchi State, as well as Kudang and Kauruchawai State constituencies in Kaduna State. This brings the total number of affected constituencies to 39, which translates to 2.6% of the 1,491 constituencies for which elections were conducted nationwide in the 2023 general election. The 9 by-elections are fresh elections covering the entire constituencies. However, with the exception of 3 constituencies, Plateau North Senatorial District and Jos North and Basa federal constituencies in Plateau State, and Kachia Kagarko federal constituency in Kaduna State, the rerun elections are to be held in a few polling units. In some cases, only 1 polling unit is affected in an entire federal or state constituency. Your task as members of ICCES is to ensure security for the elections. For this reason, the Commission has already provided to the Nigerian Police Force, and in particular the Inspector General of Police, the full information on the locations where the elections will be held, broken down by states, local government areas, registration areas or wards, and polling units. We have similarly provided the number of registered voters and permanent voters cards collected in each polling unit. The same information has already been shared with other members of ICCES. The updated information will be uploaded to the Commission's website and social media platforms for public information immediately after this meeting. As you are all aware, Election is a multi-stakeholder responsibility. INEC has a role to play. So too are other stakeholders. As security agencies, it is your responsibility to secure the environment, to enable us deploy personnel and materials, and protect observers, the media, as well as the polling and collation agents representing political parties and candidates. Without a secure and peaceful environment, the conduct of credible elections is impossible. From experience, the conduct of isolated elections, such as by-elections and rerun elections, can be very challenging. We must pay attention to the potentials for disruptive behavior by some candidates and their supporters. A rerun election conducted in one polling unit or a handful of polling units can severely be disrupted by acts of thuggery, knowing fully well that these few locations will determine the outcome of the election. Arising from the reports we received from the states, concerns have been expressed about the impact of the prevailing insecurity in some states on the conduct of the elections, made worse by incendiary statements by some political actors. We will present such concerns and reports to this meeting for appropriate security response. What many people do not realize is that there is no election season in Nigeria any longer. Elections are held throughout the year between one general election and another, and this adds to the enormous pressure on both INEC and the security agencies. For instance, in addition to the by-elections and rerun elections holding next week, the Commission has also released the timetable and schedule of activities for the two off-cycle governorship elections in Edo State, scheduled for 21st September 2024, and Ondo State, holding on 16th November 2024. As required by the Electoral Act, party primaries and nomination of candidates shall be done not later than 180 days before the date fixed for the election. Accordingly, party primaries for the Edo State governorship election will commence next week and end 3 weeks later, that is from the 1st to the 24th of February 2024. For Ondo State, primaries will be held between the 6th and 27th of April. Our collective experience as election managers and security agencies shows that party primaries can sometimes be more acrimonious than general elections. Therefore, as we prepare for the by-elections and the run elections, we should equally be prepared for the two major elections later this year in Edo and Ondo states. On this note, I want to welcome the co-chair and
as the lead agency in election management, will be providing security alongside with other security agencies for this election. We are aware of the challenges associated with the conduct of isolated elections, and I want to assure Nigerians that we are on top of the situation. We have conducted threat analysis in all the 26 states where election is going to take place, and we are going to deploy according to the threat assessment. We are also going to deploy adequately and massively for this election, just like we did in the last off-season election in the 3 states. I want to assure Nigerians that this election that is coming is going to be conducted hitch-free. We are going to ensure safety of officials who are going to be deployed for the elections. We are going to ensure safety of the electorates who are going to come out to vote on the day of election. We will ensure safety of election materials. We are aware of all our responsibilities, and we are already placed ahead of this election, and we are going to ensure that this election is conducted free and fair. Thank you.
I also want to commend members of ICCES for their doggedness during the polls. The President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces has always posited that the ability of security agencies to maintain law and order, protect lives and property, and ensure the safety of voters, electoral officials, and candidates is fundamental to the integrity of the electoral process. Therefore, in future elections, particularly the forthcoming by-elections and rerun elections, we must prevent and manage election-related violence, intimidation, and other security threats so as to uphold the credibility of the process. The Office of the National Security Advisor and security agencies under the platform of ICCES will sustain collaboration with INEC to ensure that elections are conducted in a secure and peaceful environment. In this regard, the coordination of security operations, deployment of personnel, and adoption of proactive security measures will be paramount. The Office of National Security Advisor is also coordinating security agencies in strategic management of potential electoral conflicts and disputes with a view to upholding the legitimacy of the outcomes of the polls. This is in addition to proactive communication of security measures and the transparent handling of security-related issues to shape public confidence and perception of ICCES and agencies involved. Furthermore, learning from the last off-cycle elections in Bayelsa, Imo, and Kogi states, ONSA believes that strategic planning for post-election security is crucial in maintaining law and order, prevent post-election violence, and address any security challenge that may arise following the announcement of election results. Accordingly, we would ensure strategic approach to post-election security through contingency planning and rapid response capabilities. In conclusion, like in the previous elections, Bayelsa, Imo, and Kogi states, previous elections in Bayelsa, Kogi, and Imo states, we would ensure adequate provision of resources to members of ICCES to enable them to discharge their duties during the forthcoming by-elections and rerun elections with high sense of responsibility. Thank you very much, sir.